like to call the order the City of North Ridgeville Planning Commission meeting for November 12th, 2025. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Members of the board, Ali,
Present.
Toth,
Here.
Schumann,
Here.
Avens,
Here.
Smolik,
Here.
members of the administration, Assistant Law Director Morgan, Planning and Development Director Lieber.
Okay. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Has all the board members had a chance to look at the minutes from the October 14th meeting? Is there any corrections at this time? Hearing none, those minutes shall stand. Director Lieber, we have an administrative approval.
Yes, Mr. Chair, just one administrative approval for a new business, the EPS store, since your last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Madam Secretary, first order of old business.
Ordinance 2025-110, an ordinance amending sections 1266.02, 1268.02, and striked 1270.02 and 1272.04 of the North Ridgeville zoning code to update use regulations for automobile service station and gasoline station as amended. Introduced by Councilman Avens, first reading on 7/21/2025. Council referred to Planning Commission and Building and Lands on 7/21/2025, to Building and Lands on 8/18/2025, to Planning Commission on 9/9/2025. Council approved Planning Commission extension on 9/15/2025, to Planning Commission on 10/14/2025.
Okay. Director Lieber, I guess it wouldn't be finding a fact, but any information on it?
Just at the last Planning Commission meeting, there's discussion by the members in regards to some of the concerns that had been expressed by staff that the 1 mile radius of gas stations could function as a prohibition against any new gas station in the city. And I think there was some concern on the part of some members of the commission as well. So when we left that meeting, there was the idea of pursuing more of a 1/2 mile radius for certain districts and maybe taking the B4 district out, since it's really a district that's focused on serving the motoring public. So imposing a radius would be really kind of not in line with the intent of that district. And then also clarifying what is an accessory to versus a main use gas station. One of the clarifications I also wanted to make was not just if a gas station is existing at the time the ordinance goes into effect and becomes non-conforming, can it be reconstructed, just because we've seen that happen in the region as some brands update their buildings and their properties. So the version before you is what I drafted based upon what I thought I heard the commission say, but I know there might not be unanimous agreement, so there's still room for discussion and debate. But it added in the B2. It created, that had been proposed at the last meeting, but I refined the language around the separation, and then how that separation does not apply where the automobile service station is an accessory use, and then gave 3 different standards of how, what would constitute accessory use. The B3 district, the changes there would be, again, to change the 1 mile spacing to the 1/2 mile, and then also to add those clarifying I see a typo I'll fix, but those accessory use definitions. And we struck out the B4 from the ordinance and then maintained the strikeout of B5, which was included in the original version, and then added a section 4 at the end that says that legally established active non-conforming gas stations may be reconstructed on the same lot following demolition, just to clarify that if there should be a remodel that gets so far as, removing the building and rebuilding the building. So again, there's still much room for the planning commission to debate and discuss, but those are the changes that were made based on the 1/2 mile spacing. There are certainly more sites in the city that could be constructed than there was under the 1 mile, which was all but almost entirely prohibitive, I think, except for 1 or 2 locations.
Okay. Assistant Law Director Morgan?
The changes that I've heard go toward addressing some of the concerns I have. At this point, I would say, as far as the commission goes, if you are satisfied that these changes leave enough room for the building of gas stations, new gas stations with the 1/2 mile radius, then that would address that concern. The other concern is there a reasonable distinction between what's an accessory use and the more freestanding ones? Does treating those differently make sense in that case? Then that addresses one of the concerns I had as well. So those are still my 2 main concerns. And as you go forward, I would ask you to consider whether those are sufficiently addressed by the changes that you're seeing.
Okay, thank you. Is there any members of the audience that would like to comment on this issue brought before the commission tonight? Okay, hearing none, I will close public comment session. Is there any questions or comments from the commission? Go ahead, Councilman.
Yeah. Again, the reason I introduced this is, quite frankly, traveling along Center Ridge and all the gas stations that we have there and trying to prevent that situation from occurring on some of our other throughways. The changes that have been made are changes that make this more palatable and doesn't affect values of any other properties. Main concern is down the road, Lorraine is wide open for numerous gas stations if we don't put some type of restrictions on it. And the one thing I've noticed is that we don't need that many more gas stations. Now, yes, on the western end of North Ridgeville, probably could use a couple of gas stations. But again, with the regulations as written here, you could still get that particular area serviced. What comes to mind is at the corner of Lorraine and 83, the corner of Sugar Ridge and 83. All those could still stay outside that 1/2 mile radius, and you could put in gas stations at that point as well. Along with, I've heard rumors about a gas station at Chestnut, and I call it the 83 extension. That somebody's interested in putting a gas station there. And the one piece of land there is, I think, B3, but I'm not sure. It was changed years ago for a hospital clinic that never got built. And they could possibly use a gas station there. So it will still allow gas stations in areas of need, but it will limit gas stations where we just don't need them anymore. And also with the provision of needs to be, if you want to put it within that 1/2 mile, you have to have, it needs to be more or less an accessory rather than the main business. That encourages some of these larger lots that are still available. It encourages a more substantial development rather than just a gas station. So that's my comments.
Okay. Was there any other comments from the commission members? I guess the one comment I have is, sitting on planning commission, the choices we make now really don't impact the city until many years later, 20, 30 years. So I think it's important that we start thinking about some of these issues that could impact the city, down the road. And I think this is one of them because, things are changing. We're getting away from the single gas station per se to, like you said, these large developments where you have a big box store and then some pumps or something to that similar effect. I think that's probably the way it's transitioning. And changing the mile to half mile does still allow some parcels still to develop the standalone gas station. So I think this was a good collaboration of all the comments put together. So I like what I see here. So that's the only comment I have. Okay.
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
I have a question for the administration. I'd like to speak specifically about Snappy Gas, located at the corner of Chestnut and 83. And that is essentially the only gas station serving that quadrant of North Ridgeville. That's an independent station, and I'm curious if that owner-operator decided to close that gas station, would you have to wait 1 year in order to build another gas station somewhere within that half-mile area? In other words, do we have to wait until that a lot becomes non-conforming before we can proceed with the construction of another station?
Stump the planner, Frank. That's a good question. So if the gas station were to go out of business, but the facility itself remains, so it's not demolished, it's still there, but it's closed.
Say they just shut off their gas distribution, they just operate as a convenience store.
Right? And then in the time being, before that gas station lost its ability to reopen, another gas station were located a half mile, does that prohibit them from then reopening as a gas station?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't there used to be language about not used for its purpose? Has that been taken out or changed in any way in non-conforming uses? Not just that it's physically removed, but that it's simply not used for the use that it was originally built for. I don't remember the time frame, but I'd have to go look it up, but it would become non-conforming if it's not used.
Within a year.
I don't know if it was a year. I thought it was just a few months,
It
but
used
I'd
to
have to
be-
look.
Prior to the update in the last 2 years, we had a 2-year period of time before something became non-conforming, which seemed to me excessively long.
It is
So we
long.
changed that to 1 year. I can't answer that without more research, but
Okay.
that's a good question.
Thank you.
But you're talking about if something, the same thing wants to come in there, correct?
Or somewhere within that half-mile radius that this particular legislation would prohibit. Would they maintain basically a placeholder spot?
Like across the street. Like
Correct.
on the opposite corner, the zone
Correct.
B3, could a gas station open there, Snappy's saying they're vacant, but not demolished?
Right.
And then 6 months later, a new operator comes in and wants to reopen, and now you have to.
It's a loophole.
I'd have to look at that and see. That's a good question, though.
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
I guess my question would be, it would depend on how they close. If they close business, period, that would, I believe EPA regulations would start taking over, meaning they have to pull their tanks. And that would be within a couple of months of closing. Now, if it's a matter of closing and another owner taking over, that's a different story. But the point is if they close, we're bankrupt, we're gone, they have to pull their tanks. And I don't think the year is effective at that point. They just have to pull their tanks, period.
I would think the loss of the tanks would render it not able to be reopened
That's correct.
because enough change, it would have been.
And I believe too, again, when a new ownership takes over, EPA again steps in and says, how old are those tanks in that ground? And the new owner may be required to put in new tanks as well.
that might be required, but, you know, how fast Buster moves is,
Understand, I'm just saying that, based upon that, the year may not apply if they close for business purposes, bankruptcy or whatever. They're no longer in compliance because they've now got an order pulling tanks.
If I may.
Go ahead.
Usually Buster within a year. I know with my Sunoco, they gave them 2 years,
Okay,
but that's going back 10 years. It's probably about a year. If I had to shoot from the hip, I think it's about a year that Ohio EPA, Buster.
they give them 2 years, but they give them the orders to pull those tanks, though,
In about, I think it's a year.
before they give the
Correct.
orders?
They
Okay,
gave, my Sunoco, Lorraine Clegg, it was 2 years. And they were ordered to pull them. So,
Mr. Chair, one nuance, I guess, is that if the Snappy Gas example, I don't know whether or not it's currently within a half mile of another gas station, but if it were to close, it's not in and of itself non-conforming yet. It could be opened as a gas station again. Because, again, it's zone B3 and it would not be within a half mile. It would be if another gas station did come in. That would be the issue as to whether it could reopen. It's not really a non-conforming issue because that could happen somewhere on Center Ridge where a gas station closes and becomes, and is non-conforming, and then that year matters more. Does that make sense? Like if the site is not within a half mile, there's no nonconformity happening, right?
through the chair.
Go ahead.
Again, if Snappy decided to close for whatever reason, quite frankly, our ordinance makes his property more valuable to that person who wants to put a gas station in that area. Because now he'll consider taking over that site rather than trying to fight our regulations. It would make that property more valuable to a future gas station.
and keep in mind also, if they pull those tanks, it's a war zone. It'll look like a third world country. It looks bad. I mean, it does. And then that property, I mean, it's, once they pull them, it's deemed tough. So just keep that in mind too. So.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
So I guess what I'm asking is, so what you're suggesting is this, so there'd be a desire to keep a gas station at that location? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
For a lot of reasons.
Or anywhere in that area to service that side of North Ridgeville. We've got nothing there.
But I mean, that particular site is more,
I'm concerned about them closing and being a placeholder for 1 year.
I see what you're saying. Okay. But,
Because
Personal experience?
they don't even need to close, they can just quit selling gas.
right,
Okay, and you can't put another station in within a half a mile.
But from personal experience, been there, done that, experienced it. Once those tanks are removed, that property's like a nuclear landfill. You might as well sell a landfill of tires, because nobody will want that property.
right.
So
Wow.
I'd be careful with the time limit. It would be just let those tanks in the ground and
Yeah, through the chair,
hard to get
that's one of the reasons for this, because we have a number of gas stations along Center Ridge that were gas stations. And we can point to the corner here, and that's the reason why you want to limit gas stations, because let's face it, gas station goes there, it's gonna be a gas station site for probably the next 50 to 100 years. And that's why we want to try and limit gas station development. And, again, I've got, and I'm sorry, I can't find it, I had it. I have a picture of the corner over here on 83 and Center Ridge from, I believe, 1947. Shows a Gulf gas station, and a parade going by it. And guess what? We still can't build over there because of that Gulf gas station. Now, we do have a grant to clean and reclaim. But, what's that?
The second one.
Yeah. And I've heard all kinds of stories about the owner of that Gulf station and all that. It's interesting history and all that, but the point is we need to limit gas stations. I'm looking 50 years down the road. And I'd sure like the city to have more than just gas stations or abandoned sites, because it used to be a gas station. We can't do anything with it. And, again, I grew up in Parma, and they had a gas station on just about every corner. And those corners are dead sites.
I agree.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
So, one of the biggest issues I had with this originally, or a month ago, was what Mr. Toth brought up about the west side of town being so underserved. And I think, I think there's a lot of room for gas stations, a lot of other stuff on the west end of town. So I think this half an hour or half a mile thing is a lot more appropriate. I'm a lot more comfortable with it. I'm not real sure about your new issue, but I'm comfortable with this now. Short of that. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments? Okay, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve and send it off to council.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Ali,
Yes.
Toth,
No.
Schuman,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Smolik.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
Okay, Madam Secretary, could you please read the next application for new business?
Ordinance 2025-145, an ordinance providing for the renaming of Tebow Trail to Orchard Park Drive, introduced by Mayor Corcoran, first reading on 11/3/2025.
Director Lieber, findings of fact.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This piece of legislation initiated as a petition by the developer. The applicant has requested the name change of Tebow Trail. They indicated due to frequent misspellings or mispronunciations, I think that was a mispronunciation, of Tebow. In fact, the city engineer and I just had a conversation where she called it Tybo and I called it Tebow as we spoke back and forth to each other about it. At a previous meeting, the applicant had considered Ridgewood Way as an alternate name, but Planning Commission noted that there could be some potential confusion. There's an existing mobile home community off of Center Ridge Road. I know that we have an Orchard Lane and an Orchard Grove Court already, but Orchard Park Drive seems sufficiently distinct to avoid that confusion. There's also been raised the issue of just the entrance being a driveway and also a private street and where the street name should start. So I think critically, Planning Commission should confirm through this process where the street name, where Orchard Park Drive would begin, as it does not begin right at that intersection at 83. Those homes existing on the entrance drive are Avon Belden addresses, and it would be confusing to have a street name sign right at that, where that driveway intersects with Avon Belden when it comes to deliveries or other kinds of response. So having a development sign there that would identify the development, I think, is appropriate, but having a street name sign is not appropriate until the point the street starts, which, in my opinion, is at the bend once it enters into the site and then travels past those existing single-family homes and then into the development. So I would suggest that this process we define where that street name should start, and then also make sure it's distinct from those existing homes that are on Avon Belden. Thank you.
Okay, Assistant Law Director Morgan?
Yeah, it just occurs to me, and this wasn't an issue that I had looked at previously, that, again, we've had a lot of changes to our ordinances, but I think we're encouraged to have a street have one name, the whole length of it. But this procedure for name changing is either for a street, so or an alley, and looking at our definitions, and it doesn't fit the definition for an alley that we have, because an alley is something to provide access to the rear or the side of lots and not intended for the purpose of through vehicular traffic. So it's not an alley. So if you want to approve a name change, then we have to call it a street. It seems unusual to me to have a street name change at halfway through, or I don't know. I'm trying to figure out exactly from what I'm looking at out there, exactly where it would change. I mean, would it be Tebow Trail for how far in?
It would not be Tebow Trail at all. And I guess I would just,
Well,
there are subdivisions throughout North Ridgeville where the name changes on a bend.
it does. I mean, we've had an ordinance that says it shouldn't, but you're correct. They change a lot, but it's just, and I didn't realize, I thought we were gonna name it the same all the way through. But it's something to consider, whether you think that's an appropriate thing to do. And you have to be satisfied that it is indeed a street.
Okay, thank you. Is there any members of the audience that would wish to comment or have questions in regards to this application? Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Hello, Holly Swank, 36259 Center Ridge. The issue that I have with it is the people who own the homes that is currently 83, they'll have to change their trusts, they'll have to change their mortgages, the USPS would have to be all changed. Who would pay for that change if we were to name it starting at 83? But I do not want them to have to go through that hassle as homeowners. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments from the audience? Go ahead. Please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name's Mallory Mazurek. I actually live in Lakewood, Ohio, but I'm here to represent the landowner and developer at Ridgeville Farms. And yes, just confirming what Director Lieber stated, the existing homes would maintain their address as Avon Belden, as the current plans show. And the current plans show the street sign starting at the bend, and that currently would be Tebow Trail, but they would like it to change to Orchard Park Drive.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, I'm going to open it up to the commission for questions or comments. So I guess I have one comment or a question. So it's my understanding none of the addresses on Avon Belden want to change their address? They want to keep it the same? Okay. Okay. And what is emergency services have any comments on this? They want to, what would they like to see for mutual, or, mutual aid's a big thing for someone from another city coming in.
Their comment to the city engineer was that they use like their GPS system and they punch in an address and then they go. So as long as they're not looking at street signs to navigate their way to an emergency. So as long as the houses and the units are properly addressed, they will find their way there.
Okay. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman. So this is a private street, so essentially it's a big driveway, right? I mean, it's. Say that again?
Not a private driveway, it's a private street.
Private street, but I mean, so I mean, I don't know why we would have a problem with changing the name and leaving those addresses on 83. I don't see an issue. Thank you.
So I guess I'm a little confused on if the street name is changed, we'll call it the north-south leg, the United States Postal Service wants them to change their address then? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't believe that the post office wants them to change the address. I don't know what happened with Lorraine County or, the post office accepts addresses from the building official. Lorraine County has been showing that stretch in front of the Avon Belden houses as Tebow Trail. But the city is unsure as to how they got that information because it was not provided as part of the recorded plat because it didn't have street names on it at the time. So that's a bit of a mystery that we'll have to correct with Lorraine County. But the post office has not changed those. Like if you click on those individual homes, the address, the street name is not changed. They're still listed as Avon Belden. We just want to ensure that our records, the mapping, the post office, everything is saying the same thing, that those continue to be Avon Belden addresses, and at the bend is where the new street begins. And from that point forward, all the addresses would be the Orchard address.
Okay. So it seems, the consensus seems to be no one really has an issue with the name change. It's more or less the limits.
And where they change it.
Right, and I think that's something we need to, and it sounds to me the administration prefers that where it goes from north to south, to bends to east to west, that's where they think the name change should occur, and then the rest would be just an unnamed private road. Is that the way you look at it? Yes. With emergency services would have an address still as Avon Belden, so for wayfinding, they would still be able to find that. With the start of this, I mean, do those people have any issues getting mail? I guess they've always been that way since the overpass went in, so nothing's really changed. Okay. Is there any other further questions or comments? Go ahead.
Chair, I would I agree with Paul. I mean, it is what it is and where it stops. And like what Holly says, the fees and process. So I would like to say just where they've been using it all this time, leave it and then change it further down the road.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
Okay. Is there any further questions or comments? Okay, at this time, the chair would like to entertain a motion, not only for the name change, but I would also like in the motion the limits of the name change. So at this time, the chair will entertain a motion. I guess I will make that motion for recommending approval of the name change. With the limits starting, the easiest way is where that private drive starts to go east to west.
So will the ones that are already named that, it'll stay that way and then we'll move forward? Or
For the people on that private street, is my understanding, they will, that private street, north to south leg, will have no name, and they will still have an Avon Belden address.
and then from after that, those homes, it'll be Tebow.
It would be Orchard, yeah. That's my motion. Good luck, Madam Secretary.
I'll second that.
Just want clarification, that's all.
I'll second that well-phrased motion.
All right, at this time, Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Ali,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Schuman,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Smolik.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. All right. At this time, there's no further items on the agenda. So the City of North Ridgeville Planning Commission for November 12th is adjourned. Good evening, everybody. Oh, yes. Same to you.